Babes, every single time we watch the show, I start genuinely believing we should be, like, running through windswept fields.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. Like writing impassioned love letters instead of paying our Wi-Fi bills and answering emails.
It is a sickness. Honestly, his historical, deeply romantic sickness. We watch like 1 hour of period television, and suddenly indoor plumbing feels like this oppressive modern burden.
It really does.
And we are, actively annoyed that no one has challenged us to a duel over our honor in the town square.
I am looking right at you, listening to us right now, because I know you feel the exact same way. You are sitting there, commuting to work or folding your laundry, and you are romancing your own life right alongside us.
Welcome back to the Snark side, by the way.
Yes, welcome back, babes. It is another weekend spiral, and we are so here for it.
We have a very clear mission today. We're going to dissect the absolute romantic chaos of Mary Bennet in London.
The ultimate chaos.
And we are going to confront our own terrible performative reading habits. Plus, aggressively plan a summer of complete, unbothered, soft life indulgence.
Honestly, every time you watch this show, it triggers your full book talk delusions. Yeah. You want the dramatic handwritten letters instead of like a text at midnight that just says, "You up."
Well, modern dating is a wasteland. There's zero mystery left. A person's employment history and like what they had for lunch in 2018 before you even get coffee.
Exactly. It makes you wonder if modern dating has completely eradicated romance or if we just have inherently terrible taste in men.
I mean, probably both. But let's be real, 19th century romance wasn't exactly a fairy tale either. It was essentially a high-stakes financial negotiation disguised as poetry.
But the aesthetic, you have to admit, everyone secretly wants that main character energy. Walking into the ballroom in an emerald green silk gown while the whole room goes dead silent.
You want the aesthetic, but you absolutely do not want the reality. You would have a complete neurological meltdown the first time you had to use a chamber pot.
Okay, rude, but fair.
I wouldn't survive the lack of central air conditioning. And if you got a paper cut from one of those romantic letters, you would just, die of sepsis within a week.
You are violently ripping the joy out of my soul right now. But fine, I will concede the mortality rate is a deterrent, which is why we manufacture our own aesthetic in the modern world.
And the current aesthetic on this couch is highly dangerous.
Because, babes, the lemon drop martinis are on deck.
They're on deck and they are practically radioactive.
And yes, I mixed them with the leftover mango puree from our morning mimosas. And I am issuing a formal warning to you listening right now. This combination is lethal.
I was observing your process in the kitchen, and I have to question the methodology. You weren't measuring anything. You were just pouring vodka with your heart.
We are cocktail scientists now. It is an intuitive process, and you cannot sit there and tell me it isn't phenomenally good.
I will reluctantly admit the flavor profile is hitting. The tartness of the lemon drop actually cuts through the heavy sweetness of the mango. It completely masks the sheer volume of alcohol you poured into the shaker.
See, fruity drinks are healing for the soul. You cannot be experiencing existential dread while consuming something that tastes like a tropical vacation.
It's certainly numbing the stress of my overflowing inbox, I'll give you that.
Speaking of existential dread, I have a confession to make. You're going to judge me.
I already am. What'd you do?
Well, babes, I actually started reading Colleen Hoover's Without Merit about 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. You've been sitting on this information.
I had to process it. The book communities online are so fiercely divided on this one. Half the readers think it's a profound exploration of trauma, and the other half think it's an absolute structural mess.
I mean, the sheer volume of thematic material is wild. It's attempting to tackle, severe depression, infidelity, closeted queer identities, and immigration issues all at once.
All in the same breath. It hits so many trigger points. And the central family dynamic, the situation with Utah and Merritt, it is so outlandish.
You live in a repurposed church,
yeah.
Right?
Yes. The ridiculously messy blended family and the baseline for what they consider normal behavior is entirely skewed. The characters react so casually to extreme situations.
The pacing forces the narrative to just gloss over devastating moments. That's the main critique I've seen.
But wait, I have to defend it on one front. The depiction of Merritt's internal emotional state as an SA survivor felt incredibly authentic.
Really? In what way?
It captures that specific paralyzing fear of being forced into proximity with someone who hurt you. The resentment, the confusion of watching the rest of your family disregard the event, that isolation felt very real.
I don't disagree that the emotional core of her isolation is compelling. But my pushback is on the mechanics. The book is 360 pages.
True.
Is it ethically responsible to introduce all those heavy themes if you only have 360 pages to resolve them? It fundamentally reduces profound human suffering to cheap plot devices.
You are so right about the mechanics. It feels like speedrunning trauma. But I will say the romance itself was a surprising pivot.
Surprising how?
It wasn't that standard book talk formula of just like, we are overcome by animalistic passion and tearing each other's clothes off. It was grounded in their mutual emotional messiness.
Which is a stark contrast to what normally goes viral right now. Do you think book talk overhypes books to the point where they can never meet the emotional expectations?
Oh, absolutely. The hype train is a runaway locomotive. I want to know what you, listening at home, think. Which characters annoy you instantly? What books have emotionally damaged you?
It ties directly into a broader anxiety we need to address, actually.
The reading struggle spiral. Because honestly, babes, how do people have time to read constantly?
It's baffling.
Like, we are dentists, you listening know this, we even get half days pretty often, and somehow we still cannot find time to finish books.
Let's look at the reality of our lives. We spend our entire professional lives hunched over, executing micro-focused medical procedures in a tiny high-stress environment. The cognitive load is immense.
Yes. When I come home, my brain feels like a dial-up modem from 1998. I sit down with a beautifully bound hardcover, read 3 pages, and suddenly I am staring blankly at the wall.
Because your brain is completely depleted.
Exactly. Is reading a learned hobby? Or are these bookworms just born that way? Because people who read 100 books a year are terrifying to me.
I am highly skeptical of those people. You see them on Goodreads claiming they read 150 books a year. Mathematically, are you absorbing the literature or are you just scanning words for social validation?
You think they're lying?
I suspect a significant portion of the internet is simply lying on Goodreads to cultivate an intellectual aesthetic, yes.
Honestly, you being so cynical relieves some of my guilt. The pressure of seeing everyone's reading goals online is crushing. I buy the books, I stack them aesthetically on my nightstand.
And then you turn on the television and watch 4 hours of reality TV.
Stop psychoanalyzing me, but I refuse to give up. We need book recommendations from the Snark squad. Please send in your favorite books.
Books that will actually override our cognitive exhaustion.
Yes. Because, babes, we are officially entering our hot girl summer spiral era. It is declared.
Let's clearly define what this means, because your historical data on summer plans is deeply flawed. What makes a hot girl summer in 2026?
The vision is the ultimate soft life. I am rejecting the daily grind. I am talking about travel plans, the Amalfi Coast, wearing exclusively breathable white linen.
Oh, here we go.
Drinking espresso on a terrace, unbothered, looking hot but staying emotionally chaotic, wanting romance, manifesting pure confidence.
The romantic delusion is staggering. Let's look at the mechanics of your past soft life eras. You decide to adopt a highly aesthetic hobby, like tennis.
Don't bring up the tennis face.
You purchase top-tier equipment, you take one photo on the court, you get moderately sweaty, and then you violently abandon the hobby and retreat to the AC after 2 days.
And what is wrong with that? The essence of the summer is the intention. I will absolutely pretend I'm outdoorsy for exactly 2 weeks. I will buy the hiking boots, take the picture, and never touch actual dirt.
So your ideal summer is essentially a curated performance of leisure while actively avoiding physical discomfort.
Precisely. Which is the flawless bridge to the absolute peak of our romantic delusions. We have to pivot.
We are finally going there.
We have to. We're about to spend the rest of this session unpacking the romantic chaos of the Other Bennet Sister, Episode 4, Mary Bennet in London.
We watched this and literally started spiraling. Let's establish the scene. We have finally escaped the claustrophobic pressure cooker of Marathon.
Oh, goodness.
Mary Bennet, played with such brilliant nuance by Ella Brucalari, is in the big city.
And her vibe is completely transformed. She is away from her overbearing family. She's loving the shops, the parks, the people watching. She is having her own 1813 hot girl summer.
Which is hilarious when you think back to Mrs. Bennet's frantic warnings. She explicitly told Mary that London was full of dirt, disease, and despair.
Classic Mrs. Bennet.
Right. She views the outside world entirely through a lens of threat.
Yeah.
But Mary arrives, and she is absolutely thriving in that supposed dirt. The city gives her the anonymity she craves.
But because it's a period drama, we aren't allowed to be happy for more than 5 minutes. we have to talk about the eavesdropping devastation.
It's a masterclass in psychological tension. Mary overhears the Gardiners talking about her in the parlor.
The Gardiners, Indira Varma and Richard Coyle, who are usually the gold standard of supportive relatives.
And Mrs. Gardiner sighs and calls Mary so awkward in herself, noting she isn't a natural with their children.
I paused the television and had to pace my living room. The specific, agonizing humiliation of overhearing people pity you.
It cuts incredibly deep.
It's the most universally relatable wound. You are doing your absolute best just to exist, you think you're blending in, and then you hear the people harboring you essentially say, wow, she's difficult to be around.
It validates every intrusive thought she has ever had. It confirms her deepest fear, that she is a burden.
And her reaction is pure flight response. She bursts out the front door, emotionally compromised, and almost physically slams into Tom Hayward.
Enter Donald Finn, the meet cute. Kind of.
Kind of. She's entirely flustered, her polite mask slips completely, and she just bluntly confesses that she is overwhelmingly relieved to be away from her family.
And Tom plans this immediate, mysterious outing. He loads them into a carriage in the drizzly rain and takes them to a walled garden.
The secret garden excursion?
I need to throw some serious shade here because the romance of this scene is masking a massive ethical violation. Ms. Baxter, Tom's actual fiancée, skips the outing because she doesn't enjoy such events.
Okay, don't ruin this for me.
I have to. Think about it. An engaged man is taking a single, emotionally vulnerable woman to a secret garden in the rain. This is wildly inappropriate behavior from Tom.
You are looking at this through such a cynical lens. It is the peak of romance. He recites Wordsworth's Composed Upon Westminster Bridge to her.
I mean, visually, it is stunning.
It's breathtaking. The cinematography, the rain is falling steadily, looking exactly like teardrops on Tom's face. He is physically drenched, speaking directly to her soul.
The teardrop aesthetic was a brilliant choice, but logically, they are risking pneumonia.
Let them risk it, because it works. For the first time, Mary is moved to actual tears. She finally feels the poetry instead of just analyzing it.
It's a huge emotional breakthrough.
And what does she immediately do when faced with genuine intimacy? She gets overwhelmed by his kindness and impulsively decides to flee back to Pemberley.
The self-sabotage is real.
I was screaming at the screen, "Mary, do not run away from the wet poet."
She needs an excuse to run, and the narrative provides the mother of all guilt trips. A letter arrives from Mrs. Bennet.
The sheer, unadulterated narcissism in that letter. She complains about the dampness, the unseasonable pollen, a rude shopkeeper.
And the kicker, the urgent reason she demands Mary travel across the country.
To look after her new puppy, a literal dog. She expects her adult daughter to endure days of grueling travel to act as a canine nanny.
Let's break down the brutal reality of Mrs. Bennet here. When you strip away the comedic jollity, her psychology is toxic and bruising to Mary.
Mrs. Gardiner correctly clocks that Mrs. Bennet just wants a captive audience for her complaints.
Exactly. Mrs. Bennet operates under the constant terror of the entailment. If Mr. Bennet dies, they are destitute. But because Mary isn't beautiful like Jane or witty like Lizzie, Mrs. Bennet views her as defective merchandise.
It's so sad. She treats her as utterly disposable.
But thankfully, Mrs. Gardiner intercepts Mary's spiral with the most wonderfully clunky metaphor of the entire series.
The bonnet metaphor. I am adopting this as my core life philosophy.
Mrs. Gardiner tells Mary, you must not buy the first bonnet you try on. You have to shop around. Consider the quality and the quantity of the headgear available.
This is the exact advice we need for modern dating apps. We are all out here matching with the very first frayed, dusty bonnet we see on Hinge, even if it communicates entirely in emojis.
We must consider the quality of the headgear.
Yes, and it works. Mary snaps out of it, buys a Wordsworth book, and teaches the Gardiner kids poetry. The schoolroom poetry slam.
The sheer chaos of that scene. George writes about himself. Mary Ann writes about love.
And iconically, Rebecca writes about typhoid and brings a live frog to her presentation.
We absolutely stan Rebecca, the morbid fascination of a Victorian child.
I demand a Rebecca spinoff, but this lightness sets the stage for the evening party. Game night.
Let's talk about the look. Mary shows up in her favorite bold colors, gold, green, red. She dominates the word games and riddles.
And then enter Mr. Ryder, played by Laurie Davidson.
He is the polar opposite of Mary, witty, handsome, a social butterfly.
And the chemistry is instant. During the game, he reaches for a paper and accidentally brushes his hand against hers.
The inciting incident.
I lost my mind over the hand brush trope. Accidental skin-on-skin contact in a period drama is a nuclear event. The restriction of society makes that single touch explosive.
And of course, Tom arrives late with his fiancée and witnesses the entire thing.
He sees Ryder vibing with Mary, and he gets visibly grumpy and jealous, the jaw clenching.
The script reveals Tom and Ryder were old classmates. What secrets does Tom know about this guy? Why is he so immediately threatened?
Because he is harboring repressed feelings. It is the grumpy, jealous poet trope manifesting in real time.
And because of this new social validation, Mary makes her triumphant choice. She decides to stay in London.
Realizing there is more to life than Charlotte Lucas's bleak rule of marriage or misery.
Now, we have to pause the recap to dive into the deep analysis of this episode because the online discussions have been incredible.
Yes, the Reddit fan theories. We have to talk about Mary through an ADHD lens.
It is a massive conversation right now.
Mm.
A huge demographic of neurodivergent women are watching Mary and seeing their exact lived experiences on screen.
The evidence is just overwhelming. Her intense inner world, missing social cues, the sensory overload in crowded ballrooms.
And her blunt candor. When she first meets Tom, she flatly states she's relieved to be away from her family. In polite society, that is an atomic bomb of inappropriate honesty.
Exactly. And there's a quote from a future episode that the community highlighted. Lizzie says, "You always did things your own way." And Mary replies, "I didn't know any other way."
That dialogue broke me. It perfectly captures the tragedy of trying to conform to a system your brain fundamentally does not understand. The exhaustion of masking.
What makes this so refreshing is that her awkwardness isn't just a quirky, easily solvable trait.
Right, she doesn't just drop some books so a hot guy can pick them up.
Yes, it's a real isolating struggle. I love that the show lets her eat toast aggressively, be messy, and find a community that doesn't force her to mask.
Which forces us to side-eye the rest of the ton, the people enforcing these rigid rules. Let's start with Charlotte Lucas.
Claudia Blakely's scheming villain era. I am so conflicted.
Her behavior toward Mary is toxic. Charlotte is staring down the barrel of destitution, so she corners Mary and says, "Yeah, me and you, we're rubbish, aren't we?"
How wounding is that? An older girl manipulating you by aligning with your insecurities.
It's Machiavellian survival. And speaking of damaged women, we have to talk about Caroline Bingley's upcoming redemption arc.
She is the ultimate Regency mean girl. How do you redeem her?
Well, she spent years perfectly curating herself for Darcy, following every rule. And then Lizzie Bennet, with mud on her skirts, walks in and steals him. Caroline is a victim of the Bennets ruining her future.
Oh, wow. I never thought about it like that. She feels robbed.
Exactly. Her lashing out is a trauma response. She's hilarious and unhinged. She literally eats a raw primrose flower later on just to compete.
I am obsessed with her. But I have a question for the listener. Who is the real villain of the Bennet family? Because I'm going to say it. It is Mr. Bennet.
Oh, firmly team deadbeat dad.
He is a lazy, sarcastic father who saved zero money for his daughters and just hid in his library.
He used his intelligence to detach from his responsibilities instead of solving them. But before we incite a riot, we need to hit our segments.
Yes. Segment 1. Biggest main character delusion. Choose who had the strongest dramatic romantic energy this episode.
Present your case.
My pick is Tom Hayward. Standing in the drizzly rain, reciting Wordsworth to a girl he's not even engaged to, letting the rain look like tears on his face. Absolute unhinged romantic delusion.
Highly cinematic, deeply inappropriate. But I'm pivoting. My pick is Mrs. Bennet.
Mrs. Bennet.
Yes, genuinely believing her daughters should travel across the country to act as a nanny for a literal puppy. The narcissism required to view your children as unpaid staff for your pets is pure main character energy.
I hate how accurate that is. Fine. Segment 2. Book Talk would eat this up. Which moments would go viral?
The accidental hand brush with Mr. Ryder, without question.
Instantly. Cue the trending audio. He touched my hand. There would be 1,000 slowed-down fan cams.
And Tom's jealous, grumpy glare from across the room, the jealous, possessive, and he falls first. Girlies would be losing their minds in the comments.
It's the micro-expressions. What's your pick?
Mrs. Gardner's bonnet monologue.
Yeah.
Total TikTok soundbite for dating advice. You'd see thousands of Get Ready With Me videos using that audio before blocking a toxic ex.
Yes. Okay, segment 3. Hot girl summer plans versus reality. Let's break down your ideal summer, what will actually happen, and what's unrealistic.
Go ahead, lay out the delusion.
Ideal. Wearing linen in Italy, reading 5 books a week on a yacht, having 2 handsome men, one a grumpy poet, one a golden retriever socialite fight over me at a garden party.
The very grounded objective and the reality.
Sweating through my scrubs at the dental clinic, drinking mango puree martinis on the couch, and avoiding the sun at all costs.
And the unrealistic part.
Pretending I'm actually going to finish reading without merit anytime soon.
You've been on page 42 for a week.
Let me live. Segment 4. Would we survive a period drama? Would you thrive in this era?
We both agree we would absolutely die of typhoid within 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Shout out to Rebecca's poem.
Assuming we survive the water, who gets canceled?
You get canceled immediately. You'd write a scandalous, overly emotional letter to the wrong lord after 3 glasses of spiked punch and be permanently ruined.
I absolutely would. I am driven by passion. What about you?
I would secretly love the drama. I'd sit in the corner at balls, drinking punch, and spreading vicious rumors like Charlotte Lucas. I'd be the puppet master.
You are terrifying. Okay, we need to wrap this up and bring the energy back to our cozy, chaotic weekend vibe. How are the leftover mango puree lemon drop martinis hitting?
Spoiler alert. They are hitting incredibly hard.
Yeah.
I am feeling a profound sense of peace about my inbox.
So successful. Babes, we want to thank the Snark Squad for hanging out and spiraling with us today.
We live for the mess. But we have some final asks for you.
First, please send in those spicy, emotionally damaging book recommendations.
Second, tell us your real and completely delusional hot girl summer plans.
And finally, a provocative thought. Do you think reading is actually a hobby, or has the internet just turned it into a personality trait and a competitive sport?
Ooh, let us know in the comments.
Realistically, we are both going to forget to finish our current books anyway.
Oh, 100%.
The cocktails are taking over, and we will absolutely spend the entire summer indoors watching messy TV.
It is our destiny. Remind them to subscribe.
Yes, make sure to subscribe, comment, and send in your messy stories.
We want all the chaos.
Stay romantic, stay messy, and we will see you on the Snark side.